Welcome to the podcast, guys. We have a ton of Apple news. Apple just had their big developer conference, and everything we've been waiting for is finally happening. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, you can see I'm scrolling through my screen on my site, which is aichatdaily.com. It's like my daily news site that's tied to all my podcasts, and it covers like all the news. There is 100 articles on here about Apple because they released so many different new features and AI features inside of what they're doing. I'm really excited because we've been roasting Apple for years. Even, their brand new AI powered Siri is 2 years late, guys. That is crazy to me, but it is officially here. They have settled, multi-$100 million lawsuits because, they kind of told us all that we were going to get it on our iPhones and it's all been late, but it's all here. So today on the podcast, we're breaking down all the latest AI features from Apple, how you can use these to grow and scale your business, some interesting opportunities we're looking at and thinking about. We'll get on into all of that. Before we do, Jamie, would you want to tell them about our school community?
Yeah, if you've ever wanted to learn how to actually use AI to make money or grow your business, you're going to want to check out our school community called AI Hustle. We'll put a link below, but there's over 300 members, and each week we release bonus content over there sharing exact strategies of how we're making money using AI. So this week's episode over there, Jaden talked about he has released 2 apps on the App Store. They're officially live. He breaks down exactly his strategy and what tech stack he used to develop those, get those on the App Store, and then his next steps as far as marketing and one of them is actually an app rebuild, and he's already seeing, just by changing the design and updating the code, he's seeing higher revenue than he was before. So it's a great episode, but we'd love to have you be a part of our community. Go check it out. It's $19 a month, and if you join today, you can lock that price in forever. So we'd love to have you be a member. But let's talk about some of these Apple features they just released, or they haven't released them yet. They're going to be releasing them apparently later this year. But there's some really cool ones, things I think could actually have some serious value that I actually would use. One of them being if you are using Safari, which I don't use Safari, I use Chrome right now. But if I was using Safari, you can vibe code your own extensions with Apple Intelligence. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm trying to think of some of there's so many different ways you could make extensions. You could have it give you news summaries in the morning. You could have it, I don't know, Jaden, what do you got for ideas for me here? I think there's just lots of different extensions you could vibe code apparently with Apple Intelligence.
So I think extensions are actually like a really interesting area. It's basically an entire new marketing distribution zone that not a lot of people think about. And you can just build an app that you would have normally built for like an iPhone or something and make it as an extension, and it will do really well. So my brother actually does this with Chrome now that they have some more options for app or for Safari. I think this might be an interesting area that I'll tell him to look at, but he's built like really random extensions. So one of the extensions that he built that he says makes him money, like he gets payouts from this, are if you're trying to post music on Spotify, you will have to look for people that have playlists on Spotify. And you'll basically do what's called playlist pitching, where you find people that have a big playlist. They have like 50,000 followers on their playlist. You send them your song and you're like, hey, you want to have a listen to my song, and if you like it, you can add it to your playlist. It's kind of like the most old-fashioned music promotion you can do, but if you get onto one of those playlists, basically you're going to get guaranteed 50,000 people that while they listen to that whole playlist, they're going to listen to your song. If they like it, then they might add it to their library, but regardless, you're going to get 50,000 streams on your music. So it's like really awesome if you can get added to this. I've done this a lot in the past, just the old-fashioned way, where back when I was kind of focusing a lot on music, I would go and manually do this. There's websites that can help you do this. But anyways, he built an extension that you would select your category of music, and it would go to Spotify, and it would scrape all of the playlists and then find any that had people's emails in them, and it would give you a list of emails. So if you want to pitch, rather than having to go manually click through 500 or 1,000 different playlists, you would go use this plugin, and it would just give you the emails of people that were accepting playlist submissions. It is the most random thing in the world, but he makes money from that. He built it as a Chrome extension. I'm not sure what his idea was. I think, versus building this as like an iPhone app or something, because it's a Chrome extension, it's easier because it's kind of just like scraping the internet. I think today that same thing you could just do with Claude Cowork. Like you could probably give Claude Cowork the instructions and tell it what to do, and it could open up all the tabs and go through them and figure it out. So it's probably like an older business thing. But all of this to say, I think there's a lot of like really random things where people are the Chrome extensions, they rank really well on Google. So if I'm like, find Spotify playlist owner email, and all of a sudden this Chrome extension pops up, and you're like, oh, this Chrome extension does it. Oh, it's a few bucks. Sure, like I'll use it. Anyways, it seems random, but like you can make money doing this, and just think of it as a new distribution place where it's going to rank really well in Google. Some people that don't want to have to go dig through, and write a prompt and figure out the whole system and tell it to Claude, they might just want to use your extension and give you a few dollars to accomplish a task in like any random industry.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So basically, think about a task you normally do in your workflow, and if there's an extension you could vibe code that would make it easier, there it could be another potential revenue source by selling it to other people with the same problem, same in the same industry. So I think that's really great. Other developments from Apple, they have now with some of the camera, there's the Siri camera can split restaurant bills item by item. So if you go to a restaurant, get a big bill with all your friends, you can split the bill up, and then it'll make Apple cash requests to each person at the table based on what they ordered. So that's kind of a cool thing. If the restaurant didn't split the bill in the first place, it makes it easy for people. Definitely has very specific use case, but a lot of these features are making life easier just for a lot of people. So apparently Apple is going to be spending $14 billion on capital expenditures over this next year, which is significantly more than any other company. So I think they're going to put their money where their mouth is with a lot of this stuff. And these features, when they roll out, I think they will be really quality. So
Yeah, hopefully. And I mean, I will also say like 14 billion sounds massive, and that's more than most companies will ever spend. But if you look at Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, like a lot of the Amazon, like a lot of those companies are spending way more. I think Google just announced that they're going to raise $80 billion in a special stock offering to help them build out a lot of the infrastructure they need to power the next level of Gemini. So it seems pretty crazy, like, oh my gosh, $14 billion is so much. But if you look at all their competitors like Google and stuff, they're spending like $100 billion. So, they're a
yeah,
little bit behind the other big players in the space.
yeah, for sure. That's a good point.
One thing that's really cool that they also announced is that Apple is going to give Siri their very own standalone app. It's going to have chat history and voice mode built in. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Like, couldn't do Siri without voice mode. The chat history is a nice touch. But the thing that's interesting to me about this is it's basically like its own chat GPT, you could say. And for now, it's going to be powered by whatever AI model you want. So you're going to be able to pick if you want this to be powered by Gemini or Grok or ChatGPT or Claude. And so I think a lot of people will really appreciate that. But you can also imagine a future where Apple kind of did this with Google in the past, where they had, these special deals, or they had Google Maps powering the iPhone. And at some point, they just came out with Apple Maps, and then they come out with Apple Music to compete with Spotify, and they come out with, their own version of all of the kind of the popular apps. So I would not be shocked if, Apple feels behind right now. So they're just going to let you pick whatever AI model you want. And maybe at some point in the future, Apple Intelligence is going to be an option there where they have their own model, and maybe they would just kick off all the other models, and all you get is Apple Intelligence inside of the Siri app. So it gives them some space to make that play, but if they don't want to for now, because they know that their AI model is not as advanced as all these other players who are spending $90 billion, for now they can just rely on everybody else, and you get a pick, which is kind of a fun thing anyways.
Yeah, I personally I feel like this would be something they could very easily copy and blow out of the water. Would be, we talked last week about whisper flow,
Yeah.
and it's such a simple concept, and they already have all the technology. I feel like they could easily blow it out of the water just with a simple voice tool like a whisper flow clone. So I hope they incorporate that stuff, because that to me is actually useful. and I don't want to pay $15 a month for Whisperflow personally.
100%. Well, you have a really good point, and I think there's some good precedent for that because what they're recently doing, if you remember from their last like big AI announcement, they had like this playground, the image playground inside of like the iPhone, and they've actually just rebuilt that. So I actually thought it was, I mean, if you've tried it before, it's really terrible
It's
and it
bad.
makes
Yep.
horrible images and it's just basically garbage. And I'm like, if Apple makes a chat AI model, like I wouldn't want to use it if it's anything like this image generation model. But one thing that is very interesting about this is apparently they have rebuilt that. And it has private cloud compute, and it is kind of this on device, is it feels like the direction they're going. Now, private cloud compute means it's not like actually happening on your device, but that's the direction and that's like the pitch that they make a lot of times. So I wouldn't be surprised if Apple tries to get into more of trying to do stuff like directly on your device, which would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, the whole Apple thing is very interesting because their tech is so good and so many people use it, yet their AI is so bad. So and they apparently they paid last month a $250 million settlement for false advertising tied to their Siri features promised at WWDC 2024. So they never admitted to doing anything wrong, but they apparently settled for $250 million for false advertising. So, yeah, so I hope their 2026 WWDC doesn't end up being the same rug pull. I hope they actually deliver. I think they will. It's time.
Yep, 100%. So should be good. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, make sure to go check out the AI Hustle School community if you want to see how we're actually building and scaling our businesses with AI. This week, like Jamie mentioned, I break down how I actually have published 2 apps on the App Store. I show you my App Store Connect listing, how much money I made this month from one of them, and all of the details that we don't share anywhere else. So go check it out. There's a link in the description, and we'll catch you guys all in the next episode.